Hey everybody, Robin Gerlach here with
Reed Puser.
and we are with Remax Alliance and the Roots Home Sales team. Today we're going to be talking to you about property tax assessments. I know it's not the most sexy subject in real estate, but it might be on top of your mind these days for you property owners that have received your assessed values from your respective county assessor recently. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We want to give you kind of a breakdown of how the county goes about putting a value on your property, and then more importantly, what you can do as a property owner if you feel like that value is higher than what it should be. So we're just going to go into what the county assessor looks like. First, what is the assessor's job? So quote unquote, what their definition is per state statute is the assessor's office discovers, lists, and classifies for valuation all property in their county to achieve a fair value for property tax values. So that's what the assessor is paid to do. Now, how do they get to those values? Well, we're going to talk about that in a second, but you have just received your tax values and they may come in higher than what you expected from 2016 to 2018. So they have been expected to come in about 20% higher than what you saw 2 years ago. So that's looking at what, 10% a year, which has been pretty standard in the Denver metro area. It's been, depending on where you're located in the metro area, between 9 to 12%. So you could expect a 20% hike in your property value from 2016 to 2018. All right. So how is that value determined? Well, the assessor goes out, and what they do is they'll take a mass appraisal. So that's much different from what us realtors do or what an appraiser will do when you're going to purchase a home or do a refinance, and looking solely at a subdivision or sub-filing of that subdivision to really understand those comparables. An appraiser will go out and take a look at pretty much that whole area, and sometimes will count up to 25,000 homes in one appraisal when they're looking at the values. Then they'll do what's called a value table, and that's where they're comparing the beds and baths and the style of home, the lot size. So they do a little bit of extra work besides just looking at 25,000 homes and the rough figures. So they take into account some of the values and adjustments. Has the kitchen been remodeled? Have permits been pulled on that? And they will take that into account as well. However, there could be room for error in these assessed values, and we're going to talk about that. If you have received an assessed value that you feel like is higher than what your market value is, definitely contact us. All right. So how are they calculated? Well, let's do an example. The assessor will go out and they'll take a look at your property value, everything that's happened in your neighborhood, and then they're going to say, well, we think your home is worth, for example, $400,000. Okay. So then how does that come from getting your property taxes from that $400,000 rate? What they do is they take your assessed value times it by an assessment rate, which today in Colorado is 7.2%. Now that assessment rate is expected to go down to 6.95% in the coming year. So that's good news as well. Property values are going up, that assessed rate will go down. And then they they multiply it by a mill levy. So the mill levy you can't control. That is voted on, and that's controlled by the school district, by a special taxing district, the metropolitan, and the city taxes. So that is all decided basically in the legislature in your local municipality. And however much the mill rate is, for example, if it's 0.08 or 80 mills, they take that 0.08 times the assess rate of the assessment rate, 7.2 times the $400,000. That ends up being what your property taxes are on an annual basis. Okay, so how are your property taxes allocated? Well, a lot of the tax dollar goes to the schools. So to be specific, 48% of their property taxes are going to the local schools, and then 25% to the county, 18% to special taxing districts, and then 6% to the metro, and 3% to the cities. So that's where your dollar is going. Okay, so the important part. If you feel like your assessed value came in higher, for example, I have some clients that purchased a home last July for $395,000. Their property was assessed in June for $437,000. Obviously, that's worth appealing. It's $30,000 over what they purchased the home for, so of course they don't want to pay that extra gap. So that's worth appealing. And what we did is we ran comps in their subdivision, drafted a letter explaining the comps, and we're going to send the appeal off to the county, to their local county. And yeah, I mean, Reed, you also experienced that, so you could tell us a little bit about what you're going through, right?
Sure, yeah. So I'm not here just to be a pretty face in the video, of course. This time of year is really important for everybody that's a homeowner out there because, you know, your taxation on your property is one of the biggest amounts that you'll probably be paying on a yearly basis, you know, depending on what other things you have. So every year once these come up, a lot of times, especially in the last 2 assessments, my clients and our clients will come to us and say, hey, my assessment went up $50,000 or $60,000. That happened to me this year. From the last time that they assessed 2 years ago, went up about $50,000 in 2 properties and $75,000 on another property. So I went through the appeal process. It's fairly straightforward. You know, you basically, like Robin had said, you want to contact us. We'll help you to pull the most applicable comparable sales, and then you may have a case to present to them, you know, by writing a letter saying, you know, these are why we compared our home to these homes based on the finishes, based on the square footage, location, all of those different things. And oftentimes, because we're getting more specific with that data, we're able to, you know, get a better valuation essentially than the method that the assessor has been using. So yeah, I just worked through a couple of these. Robin's working through them too. So whenever you guys need any help, please give us a ring, shoot us a message or an email, and we'd be happy to help you out.
Absolutely. And just to give you a little bit of breakdown on that timeline, so you should have received your assessed tax value first week of May. You have up until June 1st to get your appeal in, so you still have a couple weeks. So make sure you contact us if you do want to appeal. We can get the comps ready for you. Send that appeal over. You can expect to hear back from the county after August 1st, whether they approved your appeal or not. If they do not, then you still need to appeal even more. You can go to a second round of appeals, but that way you're going to be dragging it on till the end of the year, but it might be worth it in your case. So again, contact us. That's the most important part. So we're going to leave our contact information right here, team@rootshomesales.com. We're also going to leave our contact info in the notes below this post. So you should have our contact info if you're our clients already, but anybody you know that's going through this, feel free to put them in touch with us and we can help them out too. So hope
Absolutely.
This was useful for you guys.
Yeah, thanks so much guys for tuning in, and until next time,
Stay friendly, Denver.